processes to transfer vote. We have these stories and more coming up, plus business, sports, and entertainment in the next hour. Please stay with us. Welcome to the program. My name is Noble Crosby Annan. This evening, the minority has vowed to hit the streets again to demand the resignation of the governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Ernest Adesing, and his two deputies, Maxwell Opoku-Afari and Elsie Ado-Awachi. This follows the absence of the governors at the premises of the central bank this afternoon after the minority-led protesters to present a petition to call on them to step down. The minorities, among others, accusing the Ernest Adesing-led central bank of superintending over the mismanagement of the country's reserves, resulting in a whopping 62 billion cedis loss. They also allege an act of corruption in the construction of a new headquarters of the Bank of Ghana in the current economic downturn. Now, for more than 8 hours, the minority and its allies, including Arise Ghana and other minority parties, poured onto the streets in their thousands in what they christened Occupy BOG demonstration to register their protest. Some of them spoke with us.
Achimswedro constituency, far from here, that I came here because what is going on in the country, you are not happy about it. How can Bank of Ghana, boss Umanka, Chiamintimin Kanye Hami, make a Chinama Kamajin here because baby I'm a free ban, a Kwanwa. Namintimen Kamajin, Yakosu or mine, Yedna Bonoso, youth nebre. I didn't see ever Pakis good them. Near Fengu Bank, near Femo, youth nebesiani and Yabinia Juma. Or mine me ebre, Sibitra, Yaminsra, Mosamoa, Hanamo support your match as a mojo or mine. Youth near Bro, Nanado, Yabre, one Casa, or Mampanuku Foba out, ever Kasai, and my youth Niakuma to AM. A brother sounds so bad because I Niakuma to AM. I didn't know Bank of Ghana between Ghana Parliament because of money money. Which is a corruption, I know thing. Oba said to me, yes, good them, sanitation minister, yes, good them. Scale good them to me provided, scale good them, and to me provided dustbins, Emma, Ghana, Etsy, Emma, Accra, higher needs. This year, you to near yes, every across here, Yanko Kumasi, and near Bakra.
Baumiani Kenoforiata, Aquasiamo Aquata, Duxoforiata, Henriata, Catata for Nukwane Discano, and I want to the Yebre. It's Yasam no say, Sesicatri, they say at Miaila or Bank of Ghana, and who has some better beauty and product, no, Adesing must go.
So those were some sounds of protesters during the Occupy BOG protest, speaking with my colleague Eric Mawenegbeta there. Now, prior to the protests, there were back and forth between the police and the conveners regarding the route for the protest. You remember that on Monday, a statement cautioned the organizers to stick to the agreed route. They had declared the Bank of Ghana area a security zone and thus off limits to the protesters. But the protesters insisted on marching to the BOG to deliver a message to the governors. Chairman of the NDC, Johnson Asiedu Nketia, and the minority leader, Case Latoforcing, summed up their views on the matter.
Demonstration itself will end there. But the leaders of the demonstration, led by my good son and the NDC minority leadership, will have to be given the opportunity to walk into the central bank to present our petition to the government until we see Governor Adesing the printer. We will not go to the demonstration today. We will not go to the demonstration today until we see Governor Adesing. So to the police service, we want you to be aware to prepare the governor, the printer, and his two deputy printers to be ready and to receive our petition. But when we get there, we will read the petition to their hearing and demand their immediate resignation. We have also today, through Honorable Ayariga, petitioned the special prosecutor. Ladies and gentlemen, let me conclude by saying that my speech will be delivered at the entrance of the Bank of Ghana. But in the meantime,
Enti wa mu aninam say Bank of Ghana a security zone a dia ben enuti za kromfo wo ho a ntimi nkopam wo mo a mama wo mo nti ase se ye dani Bank of Ghana e de ya bia ya akromfo akobo kankwa wo mu di o man na wu a ye declare a crime scene. In other words, if you allow a security zone to be a haven for criminals, we have the right to declare that security zone a crime scene, and we will go there and charge the criminals. Ya declare a command pa ya dia juma manu se onya oseno na ye nyira ya ho kire ye ya declare ko se ne sa ya ntituo ya ntwejai ni asi nipa o hye so ya declare keke e ko se ne nsa na o se ho ye security zone na e o bechichi ye nyira na o di ye nyira ko.
So those were the voices of the chairman of the NDC, Johnson Asiodinketia, and the leader of the minority group in Parliament, Dr. Kesela Tofossing, before they began the protest to present the petition to the governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Ernest Addison. However, upon reaching the Bank of Ghana, the protesters were left disappointed after the head of security at the central bank, Wing Commander Kwame Asare-Boateng, retired, showed up to receive their petition on behalf of the governors.
We were informed that you will be coming to present the petition to the governor. But the three governors, as we speak, are currently meeting the IMF and, in a meeting, and there's nobody there. So the government has asked that I meet you and take the petition on his behalf, and will accordingly respond to the petition. Thank you.
So that was the voice of Wing Commander Kwame Asare-Boateng, who showed up to receive the petition on behalf of the governors of the central bank, Dr. Ernest Addison, and his two deputies. Let's have some conversations on the back of the major happenings in the day. My colleague Eric Mawenegbata has covered the over 8-hour demonstration today. He's joining me in the studio with a copy of the petition, what the minority had intended to submit to the governors. Eric, good to see you. Good evening. A long day it has been for you. How are you doing, by the way?
We're good. I think that's the most important thing. We're here, and so yeah.
And congratulations on the report. We're so proud of you for bringing us all those details concerning the Occupy BOG protest. But let's get right into the petition of the minority. What are the main highlights of this document?
Right. I think it's quite evident on face value what the demands of the NDC minority is in relation to the Bank of Ghana and the reason why they were on the streets today. It was a long walk, and aside the fact that it was a long walk, their demands are also quite long. 18 demands they've penned down that the governor and his team have consistently demonstrated their inability and unwillingness to assert their statutory independence. They make the case as well that on the watch of the governor, for the first time, all banks in Ghana and non-bank financial institutions declared losses in 2022, with local banks particularly worse hit. That the financial sector has virtually collapsed, with all 23 banks in the country recording massive impairment losses of over 18 billion cedis in 2022. And these are pointers to which perhaps they are drawing the conclusion for the resignation of Dr. Ernest Addison and his deputies. The fourth point, the illegal and excessive printing of money of some 80 billion cedis, evidenced by paragraph 2 of the Memorandum of Economic and Financial Policy, which caused the depletion of Ghana's external reserves of some $6.3 billion US dollars, resulting in the depreciation of the cedi and inflation rising to hyper levels of some 54.1% in 2022. Then they go on to again make the case that that particular development, coupled with inflation, reduced the rich to a middle class while the poor have become poorer. And then they cite IMF stat report, which gives further details of the Bank of Ghana illegally and excessively printed over 45 billion cedis, representing some 7.2% of GDP in 2022 alone and 35 billion in 2021. The fifth point, the overarching policy for price stability in the context of Ghana in the implementation of prudent monetary policies. They believe that that has not been done quite well. I'll just skip some of the points. They make the argument on point 8 that they believe that clearly the Bank of Ghana is in a major financial distress and bankrupt, and that it requires urgent attention. Again, in justifying the expensive and outrageous new head office, the Bank of Ghana's excuse of earthquake-resistant new Bank of Ghana head office, they believe is untenable. Then the 2022 annual report and financial statement, which really form the basis upon which the NDC minority in Parliament raised the concerns, and amongst many other things, some of the issues that came up. Travel expenses going up by more than 100%, vehicle maintenance and the likes going up by nearly 100% as well. All of those issues really bothering on mismanagement according to the minority and serving as the basis upon which we saw the action that we saw today. That the Bank of Ghana is regulated by law, and the minority caucus will continue to ensure that the leadership at the Bank of Ghana do follow and operate within the law. Then they say that considering, that's on point 16, that average profits made by the bank since 2012 is about 1.5 billion, and assuming that all profits will be retained going forward, it will take more than 20 years for the bank to move to positive equity. That's the argument of the Bank of Ghana, and that the analysis of the mess that the governor and his deputies have created at the Bank of Ghana shows that there can only be 3 options to get the bank out of the current difficulties. The first is to introduce a tax to recapitalize the Bank of Ghana, which could be named the Bank of Ghana Recapitalization Levy. I'm not sure this is a proposal a lot of Ghanaians will be interested in. The second, divert proceeds of an existing tax to recapitalize the Bank of Ghana and therefore forego critical government expenditures in health, education and roads. And then the government, which has borrowed more than all government combined in the history of Ghana, may have to borrow another 6 billion to fill the massive hole created within the Bank of Ghana's books. And so they make the argument, which is the point 18, that the NDC minority does not believe that the governor and his deputies who've caused the mess are capable of fixing their own mess. And through this Occupy BOG, which is point 19, they are calling on the governor and his deputies to resign now for a new team to be appointed as a matter of urgency to fix the mess.
So these are the details of the statement that they intended to hand over to Dr. Ernest Addison, or preferably any of his 2 deputies. Eric, stay with me. Let's take a listen to the minority leader, Kesla Toforcing, on why he refused to hand over the petition to the security chief of the BOG on behalf of the governors.
Let me say that I feel very disrespected as the leader of the opposition in Parliament, for a simple reason that we demanded to present a petition to the governor of the Central Bank of the Republic of Ghana, otherwise known as the Bank of Ghana. The governor has 2 deputies, namely Deputy 1 and Deputy 2. Unfortunately, he has decided to disrespect us, and his 2 deputies has also decided to disrespect us by not being here and to receive our petition. We never said we are going to present our petition to the head of security or someone responsible for security, with all due respect. They have actually mismanaged the affairs of the central bank. They have mismanaged the affairs of monetary policy. Today, Ghana, our beloved country, is on 80 nails. You are not the one responsible, and we will not give you our petition. Let me also say that, in summary, this governor and this Bank of Ghana, led by Governor Addison, has unilaterally printed up to 80 billion Ghana cedis in 2 years without recourse to Parliament. Aside, they have unilaterally written off about 48 billion Ghana cedis being government debt. Let me say that all of this was done without parliamentary approval. But let the governor be aware that, in fact, printing of money is like an alcoholism. The good effect, or the perceived good effect, comes immediately, but the hangover comes after the party. Governor Addison printed money to finance the champagne lifestyle of this President Akufo-Addo and Bawumia lifestyle on an appetition budget. Today, our country is on its nails. We will not accept it. The Central Bank of Ghana today is bankrupt technically. We will not present our petition. We will go and come back again. We will come back here again. And we will come back and demand to see him in person.
So that was the voice of Dr. Kesela Tufosing, the minority leader in Ghana's parliament, saying that they will not hand over the petition to the head of security who represented the governors of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Annan and his two deputies. Let's speak with a member of the minority group in parliament, member of parliament for Ningo Pram Pram, Samnati George, joining us now for some more perspectives on this development. Mr. George, thank you so much for joining us on the program. Good evening to you. So, two things here. The desire to express your frustrations and demanding that the governor and his deputies of the Bank of Ghana resign, that called for the protest. There was another very important aspect of the protest, to hand over the petition to the governor himself. Now, that did not happen. On the face of these two issues, how would you rate the success of this protest?
Well, thank you, and a very good evening to your listeners. The most important thing for me today is the fact that the people of Ghana, in whom ultimate power resides, came out today in their thousands to establish the fact that they are displeased with the manner in which the governor of the Bank of Ghana and the economic management team led by Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia and Ken Ofori-Atta have run the country. I'm not surprised, I'm not disappointed that the governor himself did not step out. Excuse me. I'm on record this morning when I granted interviews to have stated that the governor is a coward and he would not show up. He would hide behind excuses. And so I'm not surprised that he didn't show up. But I think it's disrespectful not just to us as members of parliament and the conveners of this demonstration, but it's disrespectful to the people of Ghana, who pay the governor over 80,000 cedis every month as a salary, that the people who pay his taxes send their representatives and go along with their representatives to deliver a petition about the work he's doing that they pay them for. And he decides to send the security man, the watchman, to come and be the one to receive that petition. He's too busy to respond to his employer. Nobody can be big, no employee can be greater than the employer. And so it's message well gotten. As employers, we will take a decision on that employee.
That said, you would agree that another of the major intentions for this protest, like you alluded to in the response to the first question, to let Ghanaians realize how much of a struggle they are going through to demand the resignation of the Bank of Ghana. Now, you are indicating, the minority group is indicating that it will try again to present the petition in person to the governor of the central bank, Dr. Ernest Addison. What are the modalities concerning that? Another protest, or this will be just the leadership of the minority who will want to meet the governor at an engagement and then hand over the petition to him?
This will definitely be a bigger demonstration. It will be a bigger demonstration. There were several people who wished that they could have been part of today's demonstration but couldn't for several logistical reasons. This time around, we'll make sure that all of those issues are dealt with, and we will have even a bigger crowd the next time we storm there. It's not going to be a meeting between us as leaders of the minority or members of the minority and the governor. No. We're doing this on behalf of the people who pay our salary, who employ us. We'll go with them.
Right. Mr. George, so another concern from previous demonstrations has been the conduct of the police service, particularly the most recent one, the Occupy Jubilee House by Fix the Country, particularly on the first day of the protest, which was marked by some levels of police misconduct. The subsequent days may be comparatively better than the first. But in this Occupy Bank of Ghana protest, what would you make of the police handling of the protesters, the roadblocks, and the resoluteness of the members of the protesters or the minority group to still want to use the routes that the police may have agreed with you to block?
Well, let me say that the Ghana Police Service, when it wants to, is a very professional police service. When they choose to be professional, they can be extremely professional. When they choose to listen to political paymasters, you have the sad incidents that we witnessed on the first day of the demonstration during the last demonstration where I think democracy happened. Today, we agreed routes with the police, and everything we agreed with the police was followed to the letter. We worked closely with the police to manage the thousands of people who came out. The police was largely professional, and I think that they themselves were very happy because ultimately this demonstration is not just for us. Policemen don't have a special market where they go with their wives. They're also feeling the pinch. They also have seen the value of their salaries diminish by over 40%, thanks to the mismanagement of the economy by the finest Edison. And so they appreciate where we're coming from. They know that they would have loved to join us to demonstrate and ask for better fiscal management and monetary policy management of our economy. But the nature of their jobs do not allow them. And so we did it on their behalf. So it was pretty much an okay relationship.
Sam George, thank you so much for joining us on the program. Sam George is the Member of Parliament for the people of Ningo Pram, speaking with us there on the fallout of the Occupy Bank of Ghana protest led by the minority group in Parliament with support from some civil society organizations as well as some other political parties there. And Sam George, if you listen to him, was saying that the police in this instance or in this demonstration conducted themselves comparatively better than their handling of other protests in the country. We'll be staying a while longer on issues concerning the demonstration, particularly the conduct of the police service. And let's speak with security analyst Adib Sani, who is joining us to offer some more perspectives on the conduct of the police service today in respect with their conduct during previous demonstrations. Mr. Sani, thank you for joining us on the program. Good evening to you. How will you rate today's protest in relation to the conduct of the demonstrators and the police?
Well, I think it's been okay. Even though in the beginning there was some disagreement over the route to take. After they gather at the Obra spot. Thankfully, I think they were able to iron out their differences, and the demonstrators were able to use a route that was agreed on with the police. So I must say, it has been a peaceful protest. I've been following very closely. I have people on the ground who have been giving me updates, by the minute. On the other hand, the police, I must say, has also conducted themselves well. I mean, you give unto Caesar what belongs to him and to God what belongs to God. And I'm sure it's because of the lessons that have been learned from the previous demonstration on the first day, where people were bundled and, put in buses and sent to the police. I think because of the lessons learned. And of course, the backlash the police received from a section of the population, which even made international news headlines. So because of those lessons, they have decided this time around to take it much more easier. And here we are. I mean, no security of any infrastructure has been reached. So for anyone to have at the beginning opined that the Bank of Ghana is a security zone and any attempt by the protesters to get close with, so to speak, breach the security of the state, I think it was just, overly exaggerated.
That said, are there lessons to pick from today's protest to help future policing of demonstrations in the country?
A lot of lessons. The police would need to understand their boundaries. Okay? The police doesn't have any right under any law to determine where the route of a demonstration. They are also supposed to understand that they don't approve demonstrations under the Public Order Act. They are just supposed to be informed, so they will do their normal policing. And generally, I think this is also a lesson to the politicians to allow the people to protest. If they are complaining over certain happenings and you gag them and prevent them from expressing their frustration through peaceful protest, then you'll be creating an incendiary cocktail if care is not taken, could explode in our face and become something else. So, I mean, some of the concerns they've raised are legitimate. So let us just allow them to demonstrate, exercise their constitutional rights by protesting so long as it stays peaceful.
Adib Sani, thank you so much for joining us on the program. Adib Sani is a security analyst speaking with us there. This is still Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. We're also on all our social media platforms at 3FM 92.7. My name is Noble Crosby Annan, and the conversations we just had this evening include that of the minority vowing to return to the streets to demand the resignation of the governors of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Annan Adesing, and his two deputies over their failure to receive the petition. We'll also be delving more into other subjects this evening. And as the Occupy Bank of Ghana demonstration was in full force today, another demonstration was another part of the capital. We'll get into that shortly. Well, let's get into some other conversations this evening. And the residents of Ashaman today also embarked on a major protest dubbed Fix Our Roads. That was covered by my colleague Armstrong Gold. Armstrong, good evening to you. Bring us some background to this protest or demonstration by residents of Ashaman. What was it about?
Crosby, so the residents of Ashaman this morning also took to the street whilst the minority here were also demonstrating to demand the dismissal of the Bank of Ghana governor. So this morning we got to Ashaman, and the residents of Ashaman managed to block some major roads leading to the capital city, and they have to meet with the police. The police have to also try how they can prevent them from blocking major roads leading to the major market in Ashaman, and that led to the residents pelting stones at the police officers. At the end of the day, they managed to injure one police officer badly, and who was later rushed to the hospital. And the police also then began to chase after the protesters, and they managed to arrest two people afterwards before they allowed them continue with the demonstration, which ended at the municipal assembly, and they presented their petition to the MCE, saying that, well, our roads have been very bad since 2016, and you promised us that when you come into power, you help us fix our roads, which is why we kicked against the NDC government and brought you in. And how many years now? 7 years down the line, we've not seen even a single road construction taking place within our municipality, hence the call for the demonstration today. So we spoke with the convener, who has been saying that after 2 months, they will picket at the Ministry of Roads and Highways.
Right, I'm sure we'll be hearing from the convener shortly in that regard. But if you were familiar with the Ashaman enclave quite well, how important is this road they are talking about to their daily lives or their economic activities?
Crosby, so after the demonstration, what I did was I decided to go to some of the roads that they mentioned in their petition. I saw the Ajay Kojo Road, that is from Ashaman Under Bridge. If you know Ashaman Under Bridge, that road leads you all the way to Medina and also to Lakeside Estate, meaning you will not have to ply the motorway, which is full of traffic on the normal day. So that road from the Ashaman Under Bridge to the Medina side we are talking about, that road is in the deplorable state. It's so bad such that we have to park our car and walk at least not less than 3 kilometers. You can see on my body all dirty, and the road is that bad. And just know that and alone, if you go to Ashama Newtown and then also other place like Afariwa and then also Community 22, all those roads are very bad, that if the government or the assembly does not do anything about it very soon, I mean, I don't know how the people of Ashama are going to be going about their daily business, Crosby.
Right. You spoke with a member of parliament for the area. He was there also supporting the residents demanding for better roads.
Yes, I spoke with the Nesnogbe as well, who decided not to join the main demonstration in Accra, but joined his own people to demonstrate.
Right.
Urge all of us, the people of Ashaman. The demonstration today was not intended against Ernest Nogbe or the chief executive of Ashaman. It is concerned youth of Ashaman who are organizing demonstration for the nature of our roads, the bad nature of our roads. It is not in any way targeting any individual in authority in Ashaman, especially the chief executive. Ideally, as a member of parliament, I should be at the other side to receive the petition. But as a representative of the people and also as a youth activist, whatever my people are doing, it is my duty to support them. We all ply the roads. I have said it in so many media outlets. We have fought, myself and the chief executive, we have fought for the government to draw the government's attention to the bad nature of our roads. We attended meetings together on our roads, but unfortunately, the government, the central government, refused to heed to our plight, and that is why today's demonstration very important to the people of Ashaman. And so, as I said earlier, it is for the government to fix our roads. We are saying enough is enough. All of us use the same road, and our cars, vehicles, etc. are getting damaged. So we are pleading on behalf of the people of Ashaman. Myself and the chief executive, we are pleading that the government at this time, some of the roads that were awarded on contract, the government should do the needful and bring the contractors to site so that the people of Ashaman will have some sort of relief. I thank you very much, and may God bless us all.
So that was the Member of Parliament for the people of Ashaman constituency, Ernest Nogbe, speaking there. And he chose to be part of the demonstration, the Fix Our Roads demonstration at Ashaman, instead of joining the Occupy Bank of Ghana protest by the minority members of Parliament, essentially seeking the same things. Ashaman is looking for better roads. The minority MPs, as well as some other civil society organizations, they are also asking for better living conditions. So beyond the Member of Parliament for Ashaman, let's take a listen to what the convener of the Fix Our Roads protest in Ashaman, which also happened today, said.
Fixing of the roads has been a mirage, leaving our health and cars at the mercy of the poor roads. Enough is enough. We cannot sit idle on our roads to keep killing us, destroying our businesses, reducing the lifespan of our vehicles, of our income in our businesses, and inflicting many serious health conditions on us.
That was the convener of the Fix Our Roads protest at Ashaman, which happened today. I still have with me Armstrong Gold, who covered the demonstration at Ashaman extensively today. So Armstrong, back to you. We've heard from the Member of Parliament for the area, plus the convener of the protest. Beyond the protest today, what more are they seeking to do to get their roads fixed?
Crosby is just the same talk for them. They says MPs do not fix road. It is the assembly through it is the Ministry of Roads and Highways through the assembly. So they are just calling on the MCA, who also agreed with the protesters that yes, we all apply these roads and let's confess the roads are very bad. And for him, he says that he's also going to ensure that the minister in charge of roads and highways will attend to them, and all roads that were in construction before MPP took over that was stopped. They will make sure that they bring back the contractors and ensure that they also get some better routes so that their vehicles will stop breaking down on the way.
Armstrong, thank you so much for bringing us those updates concerning the Fix Our Roads demonstration that happened at Ashaman today. This is still Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. We're live also on all our social media platforms at 3FM 92.7. Also happening today was some instances and a conversation regarding the limited voter registration exercise. We'll be getting into the details of that story right after this. Well, today marks the start of processes for persons who are transferring their votes or replacing their cards. My colleague Judith Awatwe Brown was at the former head office of the Electoral Commission and reports that voters were frustrated by system failures.
Of workers here at the former office of the Electoral Commission, they were indeed able to register all persons who had come here on the 2nd of October, which marked the end of the registration process. And so today they're starting registration for persons who want to transfer their votes as well as replace their voters' ID cards. And already we're recording some frustrations as there are some system irregularities.
Before you can replace your card, you have to pay something, 10 cedis, an amount of 10 cedis. And when they tried connecting, I think the network, they had issues with that. And for about 30 minutes we've sat here for long.
So far when we came, it's only with the network. They're saying we'd have to pay 10 cedis before doing the replacement. So that's the only issue we are having here right now.
This is my first time coming here, and then the people coming to transfer, our line is not moving, but I don't know why. So I'm hoping by the end of the day I'll get mine done.
So this process is supposed to go on for a period of 1 week, which will end on the 9th of October 2023. Currently, there are quite a few people here, but due to challenges with the payment short code, it seems that the queue is not moving. And so some political coordinators believe that there should be alternative means of payment in order to make this process a bit faster.
I am not sure we'll be able to register so many people. Reason being that the EC officials here do not have direct access to the system that controls the monetary stuff. But once they are not able to determine how you should pay or anything with regards to the money, I think you can see people came here as early as 7 a.m. and they are still in the queue because of network problems. And so I think we should explore other avenues in paying for such things.
Electoral Commission must look at it and quickly address it. If they will even get a bank that will come and receive on their behalf, that will be good, because the bank can access the platform. You pay with your name, they generate the code for you, then you go and get your replacement. I don't think somebody should come here and because of payment of 10 cedis, he has to go back and come.
And so for now, persons here might just have to wait for the system to work properly before they can continue with the process.
That was by my colleague Judith Awatwe Brown on the voters registration exercise today, beginning the process for persons who are transferring their votes or replacing their cards. Now, we know that the limited registration exercise that came to an end yesterday, October 2, 2023. Let's cross over to my colleague, Christopher Amwako. We'll be speaking with Christopher Amwako shortly, also concerning the transferring of the voter cards and the replacement of the registration cards by the Electoral Commission. But still in the northern part of the country, in the Upper East region, for instance, a total of 16 applicants were disqualified from registering for the electoral register, and majority of them were underage at the Bolgatanga Municipal Office of the Electoral Commission. Now, the transfer of votes and replacement of voters' identification cards, that was also stalled due to system failures, and no single applicant was attended to. The Bolgatanga Municipal Director of the Electoral Commission, Yaupepra, spoke with our news team on the exercise. Take a listen.
Let's give thanks to the Almighty God. Now, the 21 days registration ended successfully yesterday at 5 p.m. At the end of 5 p.m., we're having 15 people who have not gone through the process. So we're giving them another day. We give them numbers to appear today, so that we capture their details, which by this time we have done. They are all gone. For the 21 days registration period, we captured a total number of 3,324, made up of 1,615 males, and then 1,301 females. No, I think I'm not going to 200.
So that was the voice of Pepra from the Upper East region, the Bolgatanga spokesperson for the Electoral Commission, speaking with us there on the transferring of votes or replacing cards, the situation in the Upper East region, where we understand the system failed again, and that affected the smooth running of the process. Let's bring you some more stories on Hot Edition, and this time in relation to health. And the Kolebu Teaching Hospital has been in the news, and the happenings there generated a lot of conversation on the nation's management of dialysis. Well, the country representative of the World Health Organization to Ghana, Professor Francis Kasolo, has urged government of Ghana to investigate events that led to the increase in the cost of treatment of dialysis at the Kolebu Teaching Hospital without approval. According to Professor Kasolo, the inability of health insurance schemes to support such diseases will lead to such occurrences. He spoke on the sidelines of the annual general and scientific meeting of the Medical Superintendents Group.
I think it's difficult to say because cost of healthcare across the world has generally been moving up for all sorts of reasons. So we need to see and discuss with colleagues who are in the for example, Kolebu, to understand the reason for the increase. But like I mentioned, if our health insurance is strong, it can mitigate the cost of even renal care, if the renal care is one of the benefit package of the health insurance. So it is for us to really support the health insurance and to ensure that services such as renal services are included in the benefit package of the health insurance to mitigate the out-of-pocket expenditures that we are beginning to see increase. And if that works, then we will have solved part of the problem of increasing out-of-pocket expenditure that we see with the dialysis cost. Thank you. Yeah.
That was the voice of Michael Kasolo there, Francis Kasolo, Professor Francis Kasolo speaking. He is the country representative of the World Health Organization to Ghana. Well, it's now time for some business news, and joining me is Michael Obodu. Michael, good to see you on a Tuesday evening. Good evening. How are you doing?
Good, thank you. How are you, sir?
I do very well, thank you. What do you have for us in business?
Well, straight into the news. Now, banking consultant Dr. Richmond Ituahene says until inflation reduces, the real return on investments will remain negative. He has therefore called on government to take steps to create a stable macroeconomic environment. This comes on the back of the Bank of Ghana's latest summary of economic and financial data regarding the decreasing level of interest rates on savings, contrary to lending rates.
If you invest even in treasury bill and inflation is 40%, you'll have a negative return close to about 7 or 8%. So it is very important that we bring inflation down. Other than that, a time will come, as I've said, if the interest rate, the inflation continue to persist, we might find a decrease. If you look at the deposit structure of the bank, we may see decline in the savings component of the deposit structure in a shorter or medium-term time. The banks will have no alternative because there will be reduction in the savings deposits, and that will help. The banks will have to reprice it, and definitely the lending rate will definitely go up. The higher treasury bill rates is basically crowding out the banks from cheaper funds so that they can lend cheaper to their customers. Most people are not saving in the banks as such. They've all decided to turn to the treasury bill rates, the treasury bills, because the treasury bill has a higher rate.
That was banking consultant Dr. Richmond Ituahene speaking there. Now, meanwhile, Director of Business Operations at Daylex Finance, Joe Jackson, is of the view that the rising interest rates on T-bills is not sustainable. He notes the high rate has wiped away 30% of the 34 billion cedis gain made through the first domestic debt exchange program.
What is wrong with us? You see, let's be clear. We are not saying that the government should not borrow through T-bills, but we are saying that the rate is too high. This year alone, we have accumulated over 10.36 billion in interest rate payments. This year alone, according to the IMF documents we read, the domestic debt exchange program, the first one, saved us what? 34 billion cedis. So what have we done? This year alone, we have wiped out 30% of the gains of the domestic debt exchange program 1. Does that make sense? Admitted that the government only has recourse to treasury bills in its borrowing, but should the rate be so high? Especially since, and we all keep going back to this issue, but nobody is responding, that in March this year, you brought your T-bill rates from 35 to 19%. Were you not able to borrow the money you wanted? The answer is a big yes.
That was Director of Business Operations at Daylex Finance, Joe Jackson. Now, Ghana's mobile money industry has emerged as an example of resilience and innovation amid regulatory hindrances and imposition of e-levy. According to the 2023 Oxford Economics Africa report, Ghana placed second in the region, trailing Côte d'Ivoire in terms of the growth of mobile money services.
The report looked at the complexities of Africa's economic landscape. It revealed the value of mobile money transactions in Ghana, Côte d'Ivoire, and Senegal have increased to levels above 100% of gross domestic product. This underscores the fact that mobile money is a significant financial tool in West African nations. Senegal, Ghana, and Côte d'Ivoire have taken the lead in embracing mobile money services, surpassing other regions. The rapid uptake of these services signals a collective desire to leapfrog traditional financial infrastructure, enabling greater financial inclusion and accessibility. As of August 2023, Ghana had 21.6 million active mobile money accounts with a network of 556,000 active agents, a transaction value of 1.19 facilitating transactions. Total mobile money transactions have hit a record of 1.190 trillion cedis in the first 8 months of 2023. West Africa's global share of registered mobile money accounts has risen to 33% in 2022 from 11% in 2021. Despite this growth, East Africa still accounts for the continent's largest mobile money market, with transaction values worth $491 billion for 390 million registered accounts in 2022.
Well, that was a 3 Business News Desk report, and that'll be all for the business segment here on Hot Edition. For more business stories, please check out our website, 3news.com. My name is Michael Obudu. Thank you for listening. As always, please stay safe. Up next is sports.
Well, let's get into the sports news. My name is Yao Fusula. I'm now the executive chairman of the local organizing committee. Dr. Kwekufu Swasari has called on corporate Ghana to come to their aid as they look to complete the projects on time for the Africa Games, which will begin in March 2024.
The corporate bodies' support is extremely important at this stage. And then individually, we have a package for people like you who may also want to assist with sponsorship. If you're able to bring us a sponsor, you'll get 10% of whatever you bring. So individuals are being encouraged to also get the sponsors.
Well, that's Dr. Kwekufu Swasari there. Now, the coordinator of the Africa Union Sports Council, Mr. Decius Chipande, also expresses excitement on the progress made by the local organizing committee.
I think we are very happy with the progress that has been made so far, and the African Union is very, very grateful with the great investment that the government of the Republic of Ghana has put into the construction of the facilities. Last time when we were here, we were assured by the LOC that by December, all the facilities will be completed and ready for the games. And for sure, this time we just visited Legon. It's nearly complete.
Well, let's do some more stories and straight into the UEFA Champions League games that will be played tonight. And Union Berlin will face Braga, Salzburg will face Real Sociedad, Manchester United take on Galatasaray, Copenhagen will face Bayern, Lens will face Arsenal, PSV will take on Sevilla, and Napoli will also take on Real Madrid, and Inter Milan will take on Benfica in the UEFA Champions League tonight. That's all the sports news. Entertainment news is up next.
All right, thank you very much, Yao, for that. It's now time to get into the entertainment news segment here on Hot Edition. Let's begin with Stage Plays, a stage adaptation of the 1959 American musical The Sound of Music is due for production at the National Theatre on October 14, 2023. Produced by television personality and event host Rosalind Felly, the play features Nash Shoko, Clemento Suarez, Perez Music, Elvis Crystal, Alexandra Abuaji, Brian Teshi Menson, and Jackie Ankara. The original work, the musical, was composed by Richard Rogers with lyrics by Oscar Hammerstein II. The film's screenplay was written by Ernest Lehman, adapted from the stage musical's book by Lindsay and Krause. Now, it's based on a tuneful, heartwarming story based on the real-life story of the Von Trapp family singers, one of the world's best-known concert groups in the era immediately preceding World War II. Now, Julie Andrews plays the role of Maria. That's a little background to the story. The tomboyish postulant at an Austrian abbey who becomes a governess in the home of a widowed naval captain with 7 children and brings a new love of life and music into the home. Now, media personality Rosalind Felly has promised the play will be unique, entertaining, and relatable to the Ghanaian audience. She's a graduate of theatre arts from the School of Performing Arts at the University of Ghana, Legon. According to her, art is her first calling, and putting up this production is just a way of fulfilling her quest to impact the creative industry. Now, before I go, let's do some more stories now, where renowned music producer Kewa believes celebrities should not allow death prophecies to scare them, since it is not a death sentence. Now, according to him, a number of celebrities and the public are scared of doom prophecies because of poor understanding. In our next space dialogue on the topic, does prophecy have a place in showbiz? He said, what is death? We're just transitioning from one place to the other. If you are a believer, death should not put fear in you. God reveals to redeem. So if there is a prophecy about death, we should pray about it and everything will be fine. Kewa further noted that prophecy should be accepted in good faith, whether good or bad, adding that a prophet prophet is a messenger from God, sent to deliver a message and don't speak their minds. And that's how we end the entertainment news segment here on Hot Edition, powered by 3 Entertainment. My name is Kofa, and join me later at 8 p.m. as I bring you Wind Down.
So that was a cover with some entertainment news there. Before here was Yao Fosu Labi with some sport news, bringing us to gradually we're coming to an end of Hot Edition. We're also live on all our social media platforms at 3FM 92.7. Well, this evening too, only 8 out of 1,500 health facilities in the country have an infectious outbreak readiness plan, and 1 out of the 8 has an implementation plan. According to the World Health Organization, this is alarming in the face of emerging new diseases and infections due to the increased interaction of humans and animals. Now, the rate of emerging diseases has increased significantly over the past few decades, with Ghana recording cases of COVID-19, Lassa fever, Marburg, amongst others. According to the WHO's Harmonized Facilities Preparedness Report, only 1% of health facilities in the country is ready for a major disease outbreak. Country rep of the World Health Organization to Ghana, Professor Francis Kasolo, says the vulnerabilities in fighting disease outbreaks in the country is an emergency.
And it was shown that out of almost 1,500 health facilities surveyed in Ghana, only about 8 had what you'd call a readiness plan. When you looked at those that had a readiness plan, only 2% actually had a response plan. And so we really looked at differently. This implies that if today you had an outbreak of a disease in a health facility, they will not be able to respond to it effectively because they would not have developed plans on how to operate in the presence of outbreaks. And we are saying that it's important with such findings for medical superintendents and the facilities across the country to start readying themselves for any future outbreak, and also to ensure that the human resource within their facilities are identified to support any response that may be necessary.
That is Professor Francis Kasolo, the World Health Organization country representative to Ghana, speaking. They're ending the evening news here on 3FM 92.7 on Hot Edition. Let's remind ourselves of our top stories before we take leave of you this evening, as the minority vows to return to the streets to demand the resignation of the governors of the Bank of Ghana over their failure to receive their petition. Also, the World Health Organization calls for investigation into events that led to increase in cost of treatment of dialysis at the Kolebu Teaching Hospital without approval. Also later in the bulletin, we heard some news from the Electoral Commission as it begins processes for the transfer of votes. We have these stories plus some entertainment news, some sport news as well coming to you within the past 60 minutes. But there's always more news on our website, 3news.com. My name is Noble Crosby, and still with us here on 3FM 92.7. Good evening.